This isn't the same bedroom. Back when I was in college, I had a game design class, and when I pitched my idea, my teacher Matt told me to play this game called Evoland because my idea reminded him of that game. Evoland is a game that's made by Shiro Games, an indie studio that's located in Bordeaux, France. And I know about Jack 3 and how I still need to do a review for that. And after that's done, I am not doing any more Jak and Daxter. I know about Jak X Combat Racing, I know about Daxter, I know about Jak and Daxter Lost Frontier. I'm not reviewing them. I'm sorry. After Jak 3, I have another game in mind.
You play as the character Clink, who is one of the few remaining members of the Order of the Dragon Knights, whose purpose is to travel the world to help the needy and fight evil. And after centuries of peace, an ancient evil has finally resurfaced to threaten the world of Evolandia. As you go on your journey, you come across a female mage named Karis, who is being attacked by some monsters whom you have to fight and save her. After you save her, she explains that her hometown is in danger and the only way to save it is to find the crystal in a cave somewhere nearby. When you go to the crystal caves, no joke, that's what it's called, Karis tells you that the crystal has the power to change your perception of the world. So you go try and get the crystal, but you have to fight a boss and it turns out to be the crystal's guardian, but is being corrupted by some evil power. And the evil power is none other than Kefka's ghost. After defeating the boss, you touch the crystal and it brings the entire game into the third dimension. And with that you can reach Karis' hometown because you can pass by a stone that in 2D blocks your path. But in 3D it's actually flat, so you can just walk over it. Before the town though, you go through the Noria mines and solve some puzzles and fight another boss, but this time it's against Shadow Clink, whom you can kill pretty easily because his moves are easy to read. Oh yeah, and you get Claude's blade for beating the boss. When you exit the Noria mines, you head towards the first town you see, which is Karis' hometown, Oagai Village. When you enter, you can see that the whole village is ruined and on the verge of destruction. Even outside of it, all of the trees are dead, creating this horrific forest. As you explore the town, you come across Karis' uncle, who happens to be Sid, but spelled with an S, so I said screw that and changed it to the proper spelling. Take that, copyright. Sid explains to you that the reason the village is in such misery is because of the evil to the east in the Black Citadel, but you can't enter the Black Citadel without first obtaining 2 halves of an amulet, but before you do that, you have to get bombs. How do you get bombs? By talking to this guy, but wait, he doesn't have it and doesn't know who does, so he tells you go talk to this lady who knows all of the gossip around town, and she tells you to go talk to this lady who does have the bombs, but she won't give them to you unless you slay a dragon that's been attacking the countryside. So you go talk to this guy who explains that he's seen a kid playing near a dragon while he was on patrol and tells you to go speak to the kid's mother. So you go speak to her, and she just makes fun of you for believing in the dragon story the old lady gave and comes to the conclusion somehow that her son stole the bombs from the old lady and said that they were firecrackers. So you go speak to the kid and finally get the bombs. While this was all going on, Karis left the party to go learn other spells, and she comes back with 1, which is pretty good. So with the bomb in hand, you can now go into the Sacred Grove and get the first half of the amulet, and you pick up the bow and arrow along the way. The Sacred Grove is also where you get more into the dimensional manipulation puzzles, but I'll get more into that later. Next stop is the Ruins of Sarudnak, where you have to fight a boss, but if you watch the video closely, there's a cheap way to beat him and you get the second half of the amulet. Time to go to the Black Citadel and beat the evil. When you enter, you automatically enter a battle with the game's main villain, Zephyros. And while you're fighting him, eventually he uses a Kamehameha, and you just have to keep fighting until a cutscene arises where they state that Zephyros can't be beaten, but they're never going to give up, and then Zephyros kills Karis, to which Clink gets really upset and then gets the power to summon Bahamut. They didn't even try to hide that name. I mean, look at it, it's Bahamut. You win, but Zephyros is like, I'm not dead yet, meet me at the mana tree. However, you can't reach the mana tree because it's across water, so you have to go back to Oagai Village and tell Sid that his niece is dead, and he's like, that sucks, here, take my airship. So you can use the airship to go to the last boss, or you can use it to revisit previous areas to get the collectibles to 100% the game. Or you can find secret areas such as the Forbidden Lake, which has some of the coolest dimensional puzzles to collect more things. Sadly, there's no other reason to come to this lake other than to collect, like there's no cool hidden optional boss or anything. I did discover this tent with this merchant that won't sell you anything unless you give him meat, which you find out that there are big yellow birds called chibokos, but I never could find them, so I never completed the side quest, so I have no idea what they sell. So, off to the last boss, who is just Zephyros but evolves into this big demon-looking thing, and he explains that his people used to rule the land, but they were attacked and killed for their horns. And now he's the last of his kind, so he's out for revenge. But Clink doesn't care about that, so he's going to kill him. This last boss is pretty simple. All you have to do is bait his attack and run in the opposite direction, and then attack his hand, and then do it again on the other hand. After that, you just have to outrun his fire breath, hit his chest, then run to the other side and attack the little orb until he dies. However, like every RPG, there's a second form, which is just normal Zephyros floating in the center, and you have to deflect his projectiles back at him. Sort of like this. Anyway, he dies, and then the credits roll. The gameplay kind of evolves as you play. As you play, you open chests and unlock different ways to play, starting from not being able to move except for going left, to unlocking movement, different graphic styles, upgrading music, to different combat scenarios and different combat styles. It's hard to sum it all up because there's so many little things happening that affect the way you view the game, but some of the bigger stuff is how at first it plays like a Zelda game, and then when you enter the overworld it changes as a Final Fantasy game, and later on in one of the dungeons it plays like Diablo. It's a very unique idea and I absolutely love it, but it is a very easy game as well, something anyone could pick up and play and beat. But that's just the main quest. There are some side things you can do, such as play Double Twin, which is this neat little card game you can play with the folk in Oagai Village. I only ever got to the hard difficulty, which I couldn't beat. You can go around the world and try and find all of the hidden stars and hidden Double Twin cards, so you have more to play with. Honestly though, that's about it. There's no hidden bosses anywhere, just some hidden caves. There's one more thing I have to mention about the gameplay, and that's the puzzles. When you're in certain areas and you want to find all of the chests, sometimes you have to solve puzzles that involve hitting a crystal to turn it from 3D to 2D so you can pass by a bush, or burn it down by shooting an arrow through fire in the 2D realm so you can change the future where in the 3D realm the tree won't be there anymore. Or you can turn it from 2D to 3D to pass by some of those blocks again. The puzzles get more and more complex, but they're fun to solve. Just like with gameplay, the graphics are also an essential part of this because as you go along, you'll see it turn from a black and white 8-bit game to one with color, and then better color, then bring the 16 bits in, and then eventually 3D. It's a very good looking game and all the bosses actually have some pretty cool designs like Shadow Clink and Zephyros. Also, when you reach the end of the game with the airship, you can go back to other places and it will automatically go back to that style in that village. Like in Oagai Village, it will always be 3D and never 16-bit, but if you go back to the first village, Papunica, it will always be 16-bit and never 3D. While I was playing, I was kind of disappointed by this, because I wanted to see those starting areas in 3D. I thought it would have been really cool to see it evolve like this, and discover more secrets if you took the time to return there. I'm not an audio engineer or a music composer by any means, but I am glad that the music was not overlooked. As the graphics evolve, so does the music. Beginning with just simple notes, then getting more instruments in, and having some nice chiptune music, and then just orchestra sounding stuff when it gets 3D. It really helps sell the idea that you were evolving with this world, and without the music, it definitely would not have had such an impact.
I think that Evoland is actually a really good idea in theory and in practice. What they came up with is a relaxing game with quirky commentary, beautiful 3D models and sprites, even though they're quite simple, and also really great music. I do recommend you get this game on Steam. It's about $11 and it's worth your time. It took me about 11 hours to beat, and that's doing all of the side quests without any sort of guide. If you just do the story, maybe 8 to 9 hours, that's it. It's definitely worth the price tag. Also, I know my thing is to have fun facts all of the time, but this game, all of the fun facts would have just been the name drops, like Zephyros being Sephiroth or Clink being Link, stuff like that. You know, they're all pretty obvious, and that's all well and good, and I hope that if Shiro Games makes a sequel, that they're going to come up with more original names. But good job, Shiro Games, you made an excellent game. When I come back, I'm going to return to the Jak and Daxter reviews with Jak 3. Hope to see you all there, and I hope you have a good evening or day whenever you're watching, and take care. What?